Anyone has come to be a dead one. Anyone has not come to be such a one to be a dead one. Many who are living have not come yet to be a dead one. Many who were living have come to be a dead one. Anyone has come not to be a dead one. Anyone has come to be a dead one. Anyone has not come to be a dead one. Very many who have been living have not yet come to be dead ones. Very many are being living. Very many who were being living and not being living have come to be dead ones. Many who came to be old ones came then to be dead ones. Many who came to be almost old ones came then to be dead ones. Very many who were being living and not being living have come to be a dead one. Not everyone has come to be one being an old one. Not everyone has come to be one being almost an old one. Not everyone has come to be a dead one. Some have come to be an old one and have come to be a dead one. Some have come to be almost an old one and have come to be a dead one. Some have not come to be a dead one. They are being living. Some have come to be a dead one. Some are not believing that any other one can really be only doing the thing that other one is doing. Some are not believing that someone can be coming to be doing every other thing than anything some other one would naturally be doing then. Some then come to be old ones. Some then come to be almost old ones. Anyone then comes to be one who is going to be almost any old one. Anyone is one not being a dead one. Anyone is one coming to be an old one. Anyone is one being a dead one. Anyone is one being such a one. Anyone is one coming to be almost an old one. Anyone is one only not needing to be understanding everything. Anyone is one who might have been doing the things that one is doing. Anyone is one who might do the thing that one is doing. Anyone is one, whom some are knowing, that anyone is not believing that one might be doing what that one is doing. Anyone is one whom anyone might not be believing to be one who might be doing the things that one is doing. Anyone might be one and some might be believing that one is doing the things that one is doing. Anyone might be one and some might be believing that one has been doing what that one has been doing. Anyone might be one coming to be almost an old one. Anyone might be one coming to be an old one. Anyone might be one coming to be a dead one. Someone is one whom someone is certain is one going to be doing some one thing. It is certain that all someone knows of someone is that one will be doing some one thing when something has been happening. It is certain that what someone does when something is happening is the thing someone is certain that one will be doing when something is happening. All that someone knows about someone is what is true of that one as being one doing what that one is doing when something is happening. It is certain that someone is not believing that someone is going to be doing the thing that one is going to be doing when something is happening. It is certain that someone is not certain that someone could not be understanding something and be then doing something if that one was one being anyone being living. Someone is certain that in a way someone is one understanding that anyone could be doing something that one has not been doing if anyone is one being anyone being living. Someone is certain that someone could not be doing something that one has not been doing even if everyone is one being anyone being living. Some are certain that anyone is one understanding something, could be one doing something if anyone is one being living. Some are certain that not anyone is one understanding something, is one doing something. Some are certain that anyone is one being living. Some are certain that anyone is one being living. Some are knowing only this thing about everything, that anyone is one being living. Some are knowing that not anyone is one being living. Some are knowing that anyone who is one being living is one knowing something of this thing. Some are ones not understanding anything of any such thing, of anyone knowing something of this thing that anyone is being one being living. Some are knowing that anyone could be understanding something of this thing, that anyone is knowing something of anyone being one being living. Some have been old once and then are not any longer living. Some have been almost old once and then have not been any longer living. Some are ones knowing what some are not coming to be understanding. Some are ones knowing what some are coming to be understanding. Some are saying something about anyone understanding something. Some are saying something about anyone not understanding something. Some are saying something about some not understanding anything. Some are saying something about some understanding everything. Some are not saying anything about anyone being almost an old one. Some are saying something about anyone being almost an old one. Some are saying something about anyone being an old one. Some are not saying anything about anyone being an old one. Some are certain about understanding something being a thing that is going to be interesting and being something anyone being one being living will be coming to be thinking about doing. Some are certain about understanding something, are certain that it is not coming to be interesting. Some are certainly knowing what someone who is doing something is doing when that one comes to be doing a thing when something has been happening. Some are not coming to be believing much of any such thing, of anyone knowing any such thing. Some are coming to be believing such a thing of someone that one is one knowing such a thing. Some are coming to be ones being dead ones. Anyone is such a one. Anyone can come to be a dead one. Anyone is such a one. Anyone can come to be almost an old one if they have not come to be dead by then. Anyone can come to be an old one if they have not already come to be a dead one. Anyone can come to be such a one being a dead one being almost an old one being an old one not being almost an old one not being an old one. Some are knowing something about what some are going to be doing. Some are not believing that anyone is knowing any such thing. Some are knowing something of some knowing such a thing, knowing that some are knowing something of what some are coming to be doing. Some are believing that some will be ones not believing any such thing. Some are ones not believing that some will be believing any such thing. Anyone is one being living. Some are knowing all of this thing. Some are not knowing all of this thing. Some are almost old ones. Some are old ones. Some are not old ones. Some are ones coming to be almost old ones. Some are ones coming to be old ones. It is certain that it can be interesting to some that anyone can come to be almost an old one if that one has not come to be a dead one before that one has come to be almost an old one. K is certain that it can be interesting to some that anyone can come to be an old one if that one has not come before that one has come to be an old one to be a dead one. It is certain that it can be interesting to some that there are kinds in men. It is certain that it can be interesting to some that each kind in men and women is different from the other kinds of them. It is certain that some can be certain of some kinds in men and women being different from other kinds in men and women. It is certain that someone can realize something of this thing of kinds there are in men and women. It is certain that some will come to be certain that this is completely interesting that someone has been realizing kinds in men and women. It is certain that some will come to be realizing differences in kinds in men and women and will come to make lists of them and long lists of them, and others will then copy some of them of the lists of kinds in men and women, and some will then make more lists of them, many more lists of kinds in men and women, and someone then will tell something then about this thing about men and women, and some others will then tell that thing again, and some will then tell that thing again and again, and anyone will then be one having heard something of some such thing, and some then will tell some more about men and women, and some will tell anything of such a thing again and again, and some will then go on in this thing in telling something of the kinds that are being existing in men and women. There are kinds in men and women. There are kinds of them. There can be lists of the kinds of them. There will be many lists of the kinds of them. There are kinds of men and women. Many of each kind of them have been living. Many of each kind of them are living. Very many of each kind of them have come to be dead ones. Many of each kind of them are living. There will be lists of kinds of men and women. There will be many lists of them. There is coming to be a list of kinds in men and women. There will be a list of them. There has been some description of a piece of a list of them. There will be a list of them. Each one of them. Each kind of them is one that can have a description. Each one of each kind of them can have a description. There can be very many descriptions being existing of each kind of them. Each kind of them. Each kind of men and women can have a description. There are many kinds of them. Each kind of them can have a description. Some of each kind of them are being living. Some of each kind of them were being ones who were being living. Many of each kind of them have come to be dead ones. Some of each kind of them have come to be almost old ones. Some of each kind of them have come to be old ones. There can be a description of each kind there is in men and women, and there can be a description of there being young ones, very young ones, and older ones, still young ones, and older ones, and almost completely older ones, and older ones, and almost old ones, and old ones. There can be descriptions of the kinds there are of men and women. There can be descriptions of each one of each kind there is in men and women. Anyone can be one coming to be almost an old one. Some can be there knowing that thing, knowing that that one has come to be almost an old one. Anyone can be one coming to be almost an old one. Some are then being the one they are being and living. They are then when they have come to be almost an old one. They are then the one they are being and living, and it is then not a completely easy thing to be certain that they are the one that is of the kind of them that are in being living. This is not then a completely easy thing, because then they are ones being ones, then not doing everything and not doing everything very often, and certainly then it is not a completely easy thing to be certain that that one is being of a kind of a one, completely of a kind of a one. That one is completely that one of that kind of a one of kinds in men and women. Certainly anyone could be one coming to be almost an old one. Certainly some have been doing this thing. Certainly some will be doing this thing. Certainly some have just been doing this thing, coming to be almost an old one. Certainly some are doing this thing, are coming to be almost an old one. Certainly some have come to be dead by then, have come to be dead and have not come to be almost an old one. Certainly some are forgetting that some have come to be dead and have then not come to be almost an old one. Certainly some have come to be almost an old one and are not telling enough of this thing, are certainly not telling enough about this thing. Certainly some have begun again coming to be almost an old one. Anyone might be one coming to be almost an old one. In a way it is not a completely satisfying thing having come to be almost an old one. In a way it is a thing that is a finished thing having come to be almost an old one. Someone is coming to do the thing again and again, coming to be almost an old one. Someone is almost completely doing this thing, coming to be almost an old one. Someone could be one coming to be almost an old one, and certainly then there is such a thing. There is being almost an old one. Certainly there is such a thing. There is being almost an old one. Some can know that there is such a thing, that there is being almost an old one. Some can know that there is just enough of this thing, of there being, that anyone is almost an old one. Someone will be one going on enough to be such a one, to be one being almost an old one. Someone is going on enough in being that one, in being one being almost an old one. There can be enough of that thing of being almost an old one. There is then coming to be almost an old one. There is then this thing. There is then coming to be almost an old one. Anyone can be one coming to be almost an old one if they are not dead by then. There were families of them, families of men and women and children. They went on being ones being living. Some of them went on being ones being living. All of them were ones being living. Some of them are ones being living. These were families of them, and there are some of them who are ones being living and are marrying some other one, and there are families then of men and women and some children. There were families, and some of them are ones who are almost all of them being ones being living, and some of them have died since then and are not being living, and some of them are being living, and these are marrying someone and are being living. There are some who have had some children, and some of these children are being living, and some of these children are going on being ones being living until they're ones marrying some other one, and some of them then are ones having some children, and some of them are ones who are dead by then. There are some families, and some of them are dead, and very many of them are dead, and when some of them are marrying some other one and are having some children and are not having children and are not marrying. There are some families, and the children are living, and the mother is living, and the father is dead, and the children have married someone and they have had some children, and the children are telling about anyone being one marrying someone and having some children, and are telling about not marrying, and are telling about not having any children, and are going on doing then something. There are some families, and anyone in them who has come to be almost an old one is then almost a thing, is then almost an old one. There are some families, and anyone in them who has come to be an old one is almost a thing, is almost an old one. There are some families, and anyone in them who is not almost an old one is almost a thing, is almost not an old one. There are some families, and any or in them who is a young one is almost a thing, is almost a young one. There are some families, and this has been some description of some of them. There are some families, and there has been a crowd then when all of them have been ones knowing that thing, knowing that there are some families of them. There are some families, and some of them are ones going on being something of such a thing, being a family of them. There are some families, and there are families, and anyone who has married another one is one who is being one, who has been one, who has been in a family of someone. There are families, and some of them have some children, and some of them are dead then, and some of them are not dead then, and the father is dead then, and the mother is almost dead then, and the mother is living quite a long time longer then. There are families, and the mother is dead, and the father could be living then, and anyone in the family could be dead then, and anyone in the family could be living then. There are some families, and some of them are being living, and some of them have been dead then, and some of them are remembering this thing, are remembering that some are dead then, and that time has been passing very quickly all the time, and anyone has been a dead one. There are some families, and anyone can be married in them, and some in them are not married, and some in them are married, and any one of them, almost any one of them, can have some children, and some of them have some children, and some of them do not have children, and some of them do something, do anything again. There are some families, and some of them do again and again, do such a thing, do being such a one, do being such a family of them. There are some families, and some in such of them are ones having been doing such a thing, being such a family of them again and then not again. There are some families, and any one of them can almost remember having been doing being such a family again. There are families, and some in such of them are completely doing having been a daughter and a son in such a family of them. There are families, and some of them are being such a one, and some in them can be being such ones, and some in them do again and again being such ones. Anyone might be one to do something. That is what any family living is needing. No, not everyone is doing something that any family living is needing. Very many are doing something that any family living is needing. Any family living is needing that some are doing something and doing it very often. Any family living is needing that someone is remembering that any family living is needing that some do something very often. There is family living. Some are remembering that there is family living. Anyone can be one remembering something of this thing, that there is family living. Anyone can be one knowing that someone in that family living is remembering that family living is needing that some are doing something often. Some are remembering that someone is completely remembering that family living is needing that some are doing something often. Anyone can be remembering that someone is completely remembering that family living is needing that some are doing something often. Anyone who has come to be almost an old one is one who has been one, not being such a one, being almost an old one. Anyone who has been one being an old one is one who has been one, not being an old one. Anyone who has been one remembering that someone has been completely remembering that family living needs then that some do something often is one sometime remembering sometime almost remembering that someone is completely remembering that family living can be needing that some are doing something often. Some are completely remembering something of the thing that some are completely remembering that family living has been needing that some are doing something often. Some are completely remembering and completely mentioning something of the thing that family living is going on needing some doing something often. Anyone in family living can do something often. Some in family living do something very often. Someone in a family living does something often and does it again and again. Some in family living and needing to be ones doing something often and doing it again and again. Some are remembering that some in family living are doing something often and doing it again and again and that one is certain that some of anyone in that family living can be one doing something often and doing it again and again. Anyone can mention that someone in family living is being one going on doing something often and doing it again and again. Some can mention that someone in family living is being one going on being such a one or one family living is needing, being one going on doing something often and doing it again. They all do so well what they are doing. Anyone does so well what anyone is doing. Anyone does so well being one being living. Anyone does so well doing what anyone is doing. They all do so well what they're doing. Anyone being living. Anyone does so well what anyone is doing. Everyone does so well what anyone is doing. Everyone is being living. Everyone does so well doing that thing doing being living. Everyone is being in family living. Anyone is being in family living. Anyone is doing that thing so well, being living. Anyone is living in family living. Anyone is living in any family living. Anyone will be doing what anyone is doing that is living in any family living. Anyone can go on not doing something. Anyone can go on not doing being one living in any family living. Anyone can go on not doing this thing not living in any family living. Anyone can begin again doing anything. Anyone can begin again not doing something. Anyone can go on not doing something. Anyone can begin not doing something. Anyone can have heard everything. Anyone can hear everything. Anyone can not like anything. Anyone can know anything. Anyone can go on hearing everything. Anyone can go on having been hearing everything. Anyone can hear anything. Anyone can hear everything. Everyone is hearing anything. Everyone is hearing everything and everyone has been hearing everything. Anyone has been hearing everything. Everyone has been hearing everything. Everyone is doing very well being living. Anyone can be in any family living. Anyone can be one beginning not being in any family living. Anyone can go on not being in any family living. Anyone can go on doing very well being one being living. Anyone can be one having been hearing everything. Being one saying something is what anyone is doing in being one being living in any family living. Being one saying something is what everyone is doing in being one being living in being in family living. Being one saying something is being one being that one is being one being the one saying something saying that thing. Being one saying something is what anyone can be doing in being one being in any family living. Being one saying something, having been saying that thing is what anyone is doing in being one being living. Saying something, saying anything, having been saying something is what anyone is doing in being in any family living. Saying it then, having said it again, having said something. Being one being in family living is what anyone is doing who is one being living and being living. Having been being living. Beginning not being living. beginning being living in any family living, saying anything again, saying something and not then saying it again, saying something again, going on saying anything again is what some are doing who are then not beginning being in any family living, saying anything again, saying something then, saying something again and then not saying anything is what some are doing again and they're then not doing anything in being one having been in any family living. Anyone is one being living and anyone is saying something and anyone is saying anything again and anyone is one having been in family living and anyone is one not beginning anything of being in any family living and anyone is one being in family living and being one then not beginning anything again and being one then saying anything again and having been saying something and being then not saying anything and being then again not saying something and being then again saying anything. Anyone being one being in any family living is being one having been saying something. Anyone being one being living is one having been saying something. Anyone being in any family living is one having been saying something again. Anyone being living is one having been saying something again. Anyone being in any family living is one saying something again. Anyone being in any family living is one saying anything and saying anything again. Anyone being living is one saying something again. Anyone being living is one saying anything and saying anything again. It is time and anyone in any family living is one knowing something of some such thing. It is time that some in any family living are ones not forgetting that they're ones having been doing something, having been saying something. Anyone in any family living is knowing something of its being time that some in any family living have not been saying something. Some in any family living are knowing that it is time that anyone in any family living is doing something, is saying something. It is time and some in any family living are completely mentioning such a thing. It is time and some in any family living are coming to be certain. It is time that anyone in any family living is doing something again and doing it again and regularly doing it again. It is time that anyone in any family living is doing something regularly again. Anyone in any family living can come to be quite certain of such a thing. Everyone in any family living can come to be quite certain that everyone could come to doing something regularly and to go on regularly doing some such thing. Anyone in any family living can come to be one not completely mentioning something. Everyone in any family living can come to be one not completely mentioning everything. Everyone in any family living can come to be one not completely hearing everyone mentioning anything. Everyone in any family living can be one completely remembering that any family living is existing. Anyone in any family living can be one beginning not remembering that any family living is existing. Anyone in any family living can be one being one having been remembering that any family living is existing. There is no time to begin being in any family living for some being in family living. There is being in family living for some being in family living. There is no time for beginning being in any family living for some being in any family living. There is no time of beginning doing anything again for some being living in a family living. There is no time for being in any family living for some being in any family living. There is no time for not being in any family living for some being in any family living. Some being in a family living are certain of some such thing as being in any family living. Some being in any family living are not certain of such a thing and not certain of being in any family living being then existing, in their being then being living. Some being in any family living are beginning some such thing are beginning being in any family living. Some beginning being in any family living are not going on beginning being in a family living. Some beginning being in any family living are going on beginning being in any family living. Some being in a family living are going on being in a family living. Some being in a family living are not going on being in a family living. Some are not understanding anyone understanding any family living being existing. Some are not understanding anyone not understanding something. Some in any family living are not understanding everyone not understanding something. Anyone in any family living is doing something then, and anyone in any family living is understanding, is not understanding anyone understanding, anyone not understanding anything. Anyone in any family living is one being in any family living. Anyone in any family living is one not being in any family living. Anyone not understanding something is anyone not understanding anything of any such thing. Anyone in any family living is not understanding everything. Everyone being living is not understanding everything. Anyone being living is not understanding anything of anyone not understanding everything. Anyone being is one being living. Anyone being living in any family living is being one existing in family living. Anyone being living is existing. Everyone being living and not understanding everything. Everyone being living is going on being living. Anyone being living is not understanding anyone not understanding everything. Anyone being living is being living and is going on doing something in being such a one, and is then understanding that everyone is not understanding everything. Anyone in any family living is certainly not one liking everything. Anyone in any family living is one not liking anything. Anyone liking that something is being something and is then liking anything being anything and is then not liking everything being everything is one being in a family living and being one liking and not liking being in a family living. Some are being one being in a family living and they are ones going on being such a one, and they might not be ones going on being such a one, and certainly they would be ones being such a one being ones going on being in a family living when they were ones being in the family living in which they were being. Certainly some being in any family living are ones going on being in the family living in which they are being, and they are ones not going on being in the family living in which they are being, and they have been being young ones and they're being ones not being young ones, and they're being ones being young enough ones, and they're being ones being almost young enough ones, and they're being almost coming to be almost old ones, and they are being coming to be almost old ones, and they are being almost old ones, and they're being old enough ones, and they are being quite old enough ones, and they're being old ones. When someone has done something, that one might then do the thing again. When someone has done something and some other one has done something, and both of them have not then been doing some other thing, both of them might do something and one of them might do the thing until the other one, and the other one might then be one going on doing the same thing. When someone has done something, that one might then do the thing again. When someone has done something and has then not done something, that one might then do the thing again, might then do something and then not do something. When someone has done something and some other one has then done something, and it is a similar thing, and they both then have not been doing something, they have similarly not been doing something, then they might be doing something and not doing something together. They might, and someone may think that they will, and they may, and then they may not. They may, and then they may not. And they may not at all do something and not do something together. Certainly they may be in family living. They may be in any family living. Certainly they may not be in any family living. They may be in the family living they're then having. They may not be in the family living they're then having. One of the two of them may be in the family living that one is then having. One of the two of them may not be in the family living that one is then having. Anyway, they may be ones doing something together and one be one then telling the other. They may then not be ones doing something together. They may be ones then not telling anything either one to the other. There may be family living and anyone may be expecting something to be happening and something is happening. There may be happening what someone is expecting. There may not be happening what someone is expecting. There may be something happening, and anyone then knowing anything of any such thing will not be expecting something that is then going on happening. Any family living is existing, and anyone in any family living is one knowing something of family living being existing. Anyone doing anything is expecting to be one doing or not doing anything. Anyone in any family living is one doing or not doing something, and is one then expecting to be one then doing or not doing something. Someone has been standing up and is then doing something. Someone is doing something standing. Anyone will do something standing. Someone has been standing and doing something. Certainly anyone is standing and doing something. Someone was standing and doing something. He was doing that thing. He was standing and doing something. He was doing something and he was standing. He was one someone was seeing. Some were seeing him doing something and standing. Some are doing something. Anyone is doing something. Someone is doing something and standing. Some are doing something and standing. Anyone is doing something and standing. Someone was doing something and standing. Anyone doing something and standing is one doing something and standing. Someone was doing something and was standing. Anyone doing something and standing is one doing something and standing. Anyone doing something and standing is one who is standing and doing something. Someone was doing something and was standing. That one was doing something standing. Anyone doing something standing is doing something standing. Someone is doing something standing. Anyone doing something standing is one doing something standing. Anyone doing something and standing is one doing something and standing. Someone was standing and doing something. That one was one standing and doing something. That one was doing something and was standing and doing that thing. That one was one doing something. That one was one doing something. Standing. That one was one standing and doing something. That one was one doing something and standing. Everyone doing something and standing is one doing something and standing. Anyone doing that thing is one doing such a thing. Anyone doing such a thing is one doing something and standing. Everyone doing something and standing is one doing such a thing. Everyone doing something and standing are all of them doing that thing. Any one of them do the thing if they do the thing. Any one of them. Any of them standing and doing something is standing and are doing something. Anyone standing and doing something is one standing and doing something. All of them. All standing and doing something is standing and doing something. All of them, all who are one standing and doing something are all of them are all doing something and standing. Any one of them doing something and standing is one doing something standing. There are many of them. That is a natural thing, as everyone is one doing something standing. There are many of them. That is a natural thing. There are many being living. There are many family livings being existing. There are many being one being living. There are many being one being in family living. Any one of them will do, and there are many of them. Any one of them will do for being one being existing, for being one being in a family living. Any one of them will do as every one of them is existing, as any one of them is in a family living. Everyone being in family living when they are no longer living have come to be a dead one. Anyone having come to be a dead one is not then being living. Very many have come to be dead ones and are then not any longer living. Anyone having come to be a dead one is not then any longer living. Everyone in any family living when they have come to be dead ones are then not any longer living. There are very many being living. There are very many living in family living. Anyone in any family living has been one who has been one being living. Anyone in any family living who has come to be not any longer living has come to be a dead one. There are very many who have been living. There are very many who have come to be dead ones. To be ones not any longer being living. Anyone in any family living coming to be a dead one is then later a dead one. Anyone in any family living is sometime a dead one. There are very many who have come to be dead ones. There are very many who have been in family living who have come to be dead ones. There are very many living in family living. Some are living in family living. Anyone is living in family living, and family living is existing, and everyone is living who has not come to be a dead one. Very many are living in family living. Very many have been living in family living. Very many are living. Very many who were living are not living. Some living in family living are doing something and are coming again and again to be one doing that thing. Some living in family living have been doing something and have been coming again and again to do that thing. How it is done, the thing someone is doing in family living is a thing that everyone in that family living is knowing. How it is done and how it is done again and again, the thing that is done again and again, done by someone in some family living, is a thing that everyone in that family living is knowing. Someone in a family living does a thing and not any other one in that family living is doing enough of that thing to make it that thing the thing one in that family living is doing. Someone in a family living is doing something, and is doing it, and everyone in the family living is knowing that that one is the one who is doing that thing. Some are doing something, and in a way they are doing that thing to everyone, and there are very many of such of them. Of ones doing that thing, and each one doing that thing is one doing that thing, and everyone knows that thing, knows that that one is doing the thing that one is doing. Everyone can know that that one is doing that thing. That the one doing the thing is doing the thing because the one doing the thing is doing that thing. Anyone can know this thing, that the one doing the thing is doing the thing. Everyone in the family living of the one doing the thing and knowing that that one is doing the thing, and they know this thing, they know that that one is doing that thing because that one is doing that thing, and anyone can go on knowing that that one is doing that thing because that one is doing that thing, and all in the family living of that one are going on knowing that that one is doing that thing because that one is doing that thing. Family living is being existing. There are very many knowing this thing. There are some completely knowing this thing. Everywhere something is done, everywhere where the thing is done, it is done by someone. Everywhere where the thing that is done by someone comes to be done, it is done and done by someone. Certainly everywhere where something is done, it is done and done by someone. Certainly some are doing something and it is done and done by each one of them. Certainly in a family living where something is done by someone, it is done and done by that one. Certainly where it is done and done by someone, the thing that is done and done by that one is done by that one in some family living. Everyone doing that thing, and there are many doing that thing. There are almost quite enough doing that thing. Everyone doing that thing. Anyone doing that thing is doing that thing in a way that one. The one doing that thing is naturally doing that thing. It is not always being completely done by that one. The thing that is done and done by that one. It is not completely done by that one in the way it is natural for that one to do that thing. Some doing the thing that is done and done by them in the family living are completely doing that thing in the way it is natural for them to do that thing. Some doing the thing that is done and done by them are not completely doing the thing in the way it is natural for them to do the thing. Some of such of them are completely doing the thing that is done and done by them in the family living. They are not completely doing the thing in the way it is natural for them to do the thing. Some are doing the thing they are doing in a family living. It is done and done by them. There are enough of them doing some such thing. Certainly not too many. Certainly very many. Certainly some, and each one of them is someone by whom something is done and done. There are enough kinds of them. There are very many kinds of them doing something in a family living that is done and done by them. Everyone in any family living who does not come to be a dead one before coming to be almost an old one, comes to be almost an old one, and anyone coming to be almost an old one has it end to be as something existing that they are ones going on being living. Anyone in any family living who does not come to be a dead one before coming to be an old one comes to be an old one and is then being one, having it being as something being existing that they are ones going on being living. Certainly anyone coming to be almost an old one is then having it being as something being existing that one is then going on being living. Certainly anyone coming to be an old one is one being one then having it as being something existing that one is being then one going on being living. Almost anyone coming to be almost an old one coming to be an old one is one having it and as being something existing being one going on being living. Almost everyone coming to be almost an old one coming to be an old one is one having it and as being something existing being one going on being living. Almost everyone being one coming to be almost an old one is one having been being in some family living. Almost everyone coming to be an old one is one having been being in some family living. Almost everyone coming to being an old one is one having been being in some family living. Almost everyone coming to be almost an old one is being in some family living. Almost everyone coming to be an old one is being in some family living. Some when they are being quite young ones are being ones doing something that is being done again and again by someone in a family living. Some when they are older ones are being ones doing something that is done and done again by someone in a family living. Some when they are almost old ones are being ones doing something that is done and done in a family living. Some when they are being old ones are doing then something that is being done and done in a family living. Some all their living are doing what is being done and done in a family living. When one has come to be one not going on being a living one, mostly everyone has been one being in a family living. When anyone has come to be one not going on being living, mostly anyone is then being one being in a family living. When anyone has come to be one not going on being living, any family living can be then being existing. Anyone can come to be one coming not to be going on being living. Any family living can be then being existing. Anyone can come to be one coming not to be going on being living. In a family living, any family living can then have been something being existing. Anyone can come to be one not going to be one going on being living. Any family can be one being existing. Any family living can be one having been existing. Any family can be one having been existing. Any family living can be one being existing. Anyone can come to be one not going on being living. Any family living can have been being existing. Any family living can be existing. There are very many family livings being existing. There have been very many family livings being existing. Some in any family living are older ones than any other one. Some in any family living are younger ones than any other one. Some in any family living are not so old and not so young as any other one in the family living. Anyone in a family living is younger than some other one in the family living, has been younger than some other one in the family living. Anyone in a family living is older than some other one in the family living. Some in the family living have been older than any other one in the family living. Some in the family living have come to be doing something again and again, something that is done and done in that family living. Some of such of them are older than very many than in the family living. Some of such of them are younger than some in the family living. Some in the family living who have come to be doing what is being done again and again in the family living are older than most of them in the family living. Some who have come to be doing what is being done and done in the family living are younger than most of them in that family living. Some who have come to be doing what is being done and done in the family living are older than some and younger than some of them living in that family living. The way of doing what is done and done in a family living is a way that a family living is needing being one in a way existing. Sometimes then that family is going on in that way of existing. Sometimes that family living is going on into another way of being existing. Sometimes someone who has done what is done by someone in the family living of that one is coming to be an older one and is then going on doing what that one is doing, and then it is a very different thing, the thing that one is doing in the family living of that one. Some in family living are doing what is done in family living, and family living being existing. Anyone in a family living is one knowing any other one in the family living. Anyone in a family living is one any other one in the family living is knowing. Anyone in a family living is not knowing that another one in the family living is doing something and doing it again and again. Anyone in a family living is doing something and doing it again, and not any other one in the family living is knowing that thing, is knowing that that one is doing something and is doing it again and again and again. Anyone in a family living is knowing that anyone in the family living is doing something and doing it again and again and again and again. Anyone in a family living is certain that some in the family living are not doing something. Anyone in a family living is certain that anyone in the family living has been doing something. Anyone in a family living is certain that anyone in the family living has been doing something. Someone in a family living is needing that everyone in the family living is certain that that one will go on being one being in the family living. Some in the family living are needing that anyone is certain that they will go on being in the family living. Someone in a family living is one needing that everyone in the family living is not doing something. Someone in a family living is needing that anyone in the family living is certain that that one is one needing that everyone in the family living are not doing something. Someone in a family living is needing that everyone in the family living is doing something. Someone in a family living is needing that anyone in the family living is certain that that one is needing that everyone in the family living is doing something. Anyone in the family living is doing something. Anyone in the family living is not doing something. Everyone in the family living is knowing that anyone in the family living is not doing something. Everyone in the family living is knowing that anyone in the family living is doing something. Someone in a family living is needing to be certain that everyone in the family living is not going to be doing something. Someone in a family living is needing to be certain that everyone in the family living is going to be doing something. Old ones come to be dead. Anyone coming to be an old enough one comes to be a dead one. Old ones come to be dead ones. Anyone not coming to be a dead one before coming to be an old one comes to be an old one and comes then to be a dead one, as any old one comes to be a dead one. Anyone coming to be an old enough one comes then to be a dead one. Everyone coming to be an old enough one comes then to be a dead one. Certainly old ones come to be dead ones. Certainly anyone not coming to be a dead one before coming to be an old enough one comes to be an old enough one to come to be a dead one. Old ones come to be dead. Any old one can come then to be a dead one. Old ones, and how they come to be dead. They come to be old enough ones to come to be dead. Anyone coming to be an old one is coming then to be a dead one. Everyone not coming to be a dead one before coming to be an old one is coming to be an old one and is then coming to be a dead one. Old ones come to be dead. There are old ones in family living in some family livings, and these when they come to be old enough ones come to be dead. Anyone coming to be an old enough one comes then to be a dead one. Doing something is done by some in family living. Some family living is existing. Some are doing something in family living. Someone in a family living is doing something and family living is existing and family living is going on being existing, and that one is doing something in family living. That one has been doing something in family living. That one is doing something in family living. That one is going to be doing something in family living. That one has been doing something in family living, and that one is doing that thing, and anyone in the family living is being one being in the family living, and that one, the one doing something in the family living, is completely remembering that. Everyone being in the family living is in the family living. That one is remembering something of this thing about everyone being in the family living, is remembering something about each one being in the family living, is completely remembering something about each one being in the family living, and anyone in the family living can come to be remembering that one, the one completely remembering something about each one being in the family living, is remembering something about each one in the family living being in the family living. The one remembering completely remembering something about each one being in the family living has been completely remembering everything about anyone being in the family living, is remembering completely remembering everything about some being in the family living, is completely remembering something about everyone being in the family living, will be completely remembering everything about some being in the family living, will completely remember something about everyone being in the family living. Family living can be existing. Very many are remembering that family living can be existing. Very many can go on living remembering that family living is existing. Very many are living and are remembering that family living can go on existing. Very many can go on living remembering that family living can go on existing. Family living can go on existing. Very many are remembering this thing, are remembering that family living can go on existing. Very many are quite certain that family living can go on existing. Very many are remembering that they are quite certain that family living can go on existing. Any family living going on existing is going on, and everyone can come to be a dead one, and there are then not any more living in that family living, and that family is not then existing if there are not then any more having come to be living. Any family living is existing if there are some more being living when very many have come to be dead ones. Family living can be existing if not everyone in the family living has come to be a dead one. Family living can be existing if there have come to be some existing who have not come to be dead ones. Family living can be existing and there can be some who are not completely remembering any such thing. Family living can be existing and there can be some who have been completely remembering such a thing. Family living can be existing and there can be some remembering something of such a thing. Family living can be existing and some can come to be old ones and then dead ones, and some can have been then quite expecting some such thing. Family living can be existing and some can come to be old ones and not yet dead ones, and some can be remembering something of some such thing. Family living can be existing and someone can come to be an old one, and some can come to be a pretty old one, and some can come to be completely expecting such a thing and completely remembering expecting such a thing. Family living can be existing and everyone can come to be a dead one, and not anyone then is remembering any such thing. Family living can be existing and everyone can come to be a dead one, and some are remembering some such thing. Family living can be existing and anyone can come to be a dead one, and everyone is then a dead one, and there are then not any more being living. Any old one can come to be a dead one. Every old one can come to be a dead one. Any family being existing is one having some being then not having come to be a dead one. Any family living can be existing when not everyone has come to be a dead one. Everyone in a family living having come to be dead ones, some are remembering something of some such thing. Some being living not having come to be dead ones can be ones being in a family living. Some being living and having come to be old ones can come then to be dead ones. Some being living and being in a family living and coming then to be old ones can come then to be dead ones. Anyone can be certain that some can remember such a thing. Any family living can be one being existing and some can remember something of some such thing. The end. Text-to-speech recording made with my Max Australianly voice engine, based on the free ebook from Project Gutenberg Australia.